All right, so let's start looking at the Leandro guard or the spider hook Dela Riva. So go up. So this is probably one of the easiest sweeps you can do from Dela Riva. So basically what's gonna happen, in this case, I'm actually gonna stay on the pant leg instead of the ankle, okay? So now he's got a pant grip, and just for whatever reason, it's hard to break this grip past the body. Maybe his leg's kind of closed, so step up here a little bit. And now it's like hard to push the hip out, whatever. So either way, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the foot in the bicep. Okay, so once I go foot and bicep, what I want to do is I want to extend my leg completely straight, and I want it to be a little bit past his body, okay? Now the reason for this is one of the big things that'll happen when you're here is he's going to try to throw this leg across, okay? Now for him to throw effectively, he has to release this leg, okay? So if he starts to throw here, right, this leg can always re-loop, push his hip, I can get the foot back in the bicep, and then now I can start working underneath, okay? The primary attack from this position is going to be me looping my foot, going in between his legs. I'm going to pull him forward a little bit, grab his ankle, and now I'm going to use my right leg here, like my thigh, to kind of clip his hip and just knock him straight back. From here, I can kind of elevate this and start to work up on top, right? Come up. So just giving you context for what's going to happen when we're here. Right, that's kind of the move I'm looking for. So often he'll be killing this leg with his hand, right? So if I have my knee tight in the beginning, that helps. So now I have this foot in the bicep. So the reason I like it extended is for him to throw here, he has to posture up so much to get the heel outside of the hip, this leg comes free. So even if he's able to throw it a bit here, throw it. This is gonna, my other foot is gonna come over, catch his hip, push. I get the foot back in the bicep. Now I go to the floor. I bring him forward, and I only want to bring him just a little bit forward to where I can barely grab the ankle. It's counterintuitive, but if I bring him really far forward, it's hard to actually knock him down because he's so close, right? Because I can't get the pressure. So the strongest point is actually where you can barely grab the ankle. Because here now, if my right leg just goes straight, it's going to buckle him. To come up, I just elevate this ankle, I turn on my left side, and I just come up here on top. From here, it turns into passing, and it just depends on how you pass. I like to stand and try to backstep. So again, we're here, right? We could go leg past body, but maybe he's controlling the pant well. So I go in the bicep and I extend the leg here, right? If he doesn't do anything and I feel like I can just loop the leg immediately, pull him forward and go for the sweep. But maybe I just go here and I want to chill for a second. So I extend the leg straight, right? So here he's going to throw. I just loop this left foot because I know that throw's coming. Push the hip, go back to the bicep, tap the floor, bring him forward just a little bit. Catch here, clip my leg into his knee or his thigh, elevate and come up. So we're here. You can do this with the pant or the ankle. A lot of times I like the pant, but you can play with both. Okay, so I'm here. I extend the leg like this. He's going to try to throw. I loop this foot, push, get the foot back in the bicep, left foot to the floor, bring him forward, and ankle pick. Sometimes if you feel like he's putting a lot of pressure, like he's controlling this leg well and he won't move and it's hard to get my leg back in, what I'll do is initially I'll pull him forward like this and just do it without looping the leg in. It can be a little bit harder to come up here, but it's still really important to do. And the reason this move is so important is because if he keeps this jammed and I can't loop in, it's hard, right? So when I do this, I have that ankle pick. But often what he'll do is when I go here, he can tell I want that. So he's gonna have to step wide to avoid that. So don't let me get that ankle, just hide it from me, right? So as it's too far away, now it's hard to keep weight on this. This can come under, I bring him forward. And again, I hit the sweep and work my way up. This is like, it's like a one attack guard, right? It's like there's not a ton of attacks from the low guard, but it's just very, very strong at getting underneath and giving you that easy sweep. Go up. If you're more advanced and you've played other positions before, you can use this to get to X guard, right? So I could be here like this, I'm going here, you know, I just loop underneath, I go here. I feel like the ankle sweep is hard. I can go here and here and start working underneath these like X guard variations. So there's a lot of things you can build from here. Again, this is great for a guy that you just feel like going to the sit-up guard's hard, or if he's like a wrestler type and you feel like it's hard with the single leg stuff, you know, you can just go here. It's good to have multiple options to mix up, okay? So one more time, I extend the spider hook here, try to loop. If he's killing this and it's really hard, I can bring him forward. Right there, I could ankle pick. If he tries to step wide to avoid that, now it's easy to loop. I bring him forward, catch the ankle, knock him back. Again, left hand on the floor, I shelf this leg up a bit, turn on my side, control. As I come up, I usually look to backstep here. All right, so let's look at another really powerful sweep here series, which is the mermaid sweep. This sweep series can be really strong from both the low guard or just the leg pass body. So basically what happens is this guy has his knees kind of pinched tight together. So there's a couple reasons the guy would do this. Let's exaggerate it a lot. Yeah, like, so his knees are pinched like this. A couple reasons guys would do this. One is when you try to push the hip out or the thigh, sometimes it can be harder if they're here. If you push on the hip, usually you can push them out. But if you're trying to push here, this makes it really hard to push. Okay. Also, when you're in the low guard sometimes, or the Leandro guard, when you try to loop in here, guys will pinch their knees a lot there too. Okay. So what we do is I'm here like this, and as I detect him pinching his knees, instead of going for this, I'm going to take this off and I'm going to clip behind his like kneecap here, and I just close my guard kind of around his knees. Now I want to pinch my knees together so his knees are locked. And what I'm going to do, there's a couple different ways to finish this. I'm going to push my sleeve across this way, and I kind of kick up with my right shin like that, and that's going to make him post on the floor over there. Let's turn this way a little bit. Right. So once I catch this, I'm going to go here and I push this across as I kind of do that. That's going to make him post. I know this is going to happen. So right before he posts his hand, I'm going to swipe that wrist out. So it'll look like this in slow motion. Here, boom, right there, and then he's going to fall, and I come up on top. Right, so we're like this. I'm controlling. He's got that tight. I catch here. Even if it's a little bit like closed but not fully closed, if I strike hard, a lot of times you see how that works, I can buckle it in by kicking right behind his kneecap. I catch here. I like the right leg on top and the left leg underneath. I push this right arm across. I lean to my left, lift, catch that out right before he posts, and we come up on top. Another really simple sweep variation from here is if I go here, same thing, I catch on this one, is sometimes you can just let go and grab both ankles and just push your knees forward, they'll fall, and you come up this way. Stupid simple, but it works. Go up here. All right, so we're here, like this. I'm like this. Here, I start to push the hip, he goes in, or maybe I'm going for the low guard, and he's got his knees pinched, so, because when they pinch their knees, it's hard to go in between with your left leg. So then I just break past the body, catch here, maybe that way, or I catch the ankle, pop, he falls, and I just come up on top. I'll do the first one again at this angle here. All right, so we're here, like this. I catch here, I push across right as he posts, I swipe this out, and I just kind of ride it up on top. All right, so let's look at another really simple sweep here. So go up. Sometimes when I'm here and I have the ankle or the pant leg with my left hand, and maybe he's grabbing my near my knee, which sometimes can be a little bit harder to break the grip. You can do it, but sometimes it's a little bit harder. So one thing I like to do is I use my shin in his armpit here, and I'm just going to kick up and forward like this, right? Once he steps forward, it's really easy to grab the ankle, and I just drive my hamstring forward, pop, and then I just try to come up on top here. Super easy sweep. There's a lot of other things you could do with this if you like to berimbolo or do double guard pull stuff. If I ever bring the guy here, it's very easy to now start turning this in to berimbolos and things like that. Again, I'm not going to go into that here, but that's just ideas you could do, right? So again, I'm here. Maybe the guy's got the knee grip here, so it's harder to break, right? So then I go forward and go here. Notice if I try to bring him forward and he steps really far back to avoid that, like more back, right? Because yeah, exactly. Then it's actually easier to break this grip. Right? Because he's so far back, it's easier. Or I try to go forward, he steps back, step back, right there. Now I can go foot on hip, even if he has the pant grip. As long as I'm on the hip, it's hard to push down, and I can go back for this classic sit-up guard series, okay? So again, it's a super easy sweep, but sometimes what's required is like a really simple thing, because as soon as you start doing that, that's going to make the guy have to start acting differently, which will open up the other attacks, right? So we're here, I just kick my shin up in the armpit till he steps forward, grab the ankle, pop, here, and just try to come up on top and work from there. All right, so let's talk about the idea of like the lapel grip versus the leg grip and using off balances to help set up the sit-up guard. What's gonna happen here is we're gonna be like this, and the guy's gonna have my lapel, right, like this. Right, so I have the leg past the body, and he's got his elbow and knee connected, okay? So the difficulty here, yeah, exactly. So the difficulty here with going to sit-up guard is when he has that lapel, it's a little bit easier for him as they set up for this, he can stiff arm to separate me from getting here. Now, if you surprise him, you can still get it sometimes. Keep pulling the collar, kind of. If he's pulling, I can still close this distance and do the same exact technique, but sometimes the guy's gonna stiff arm you, okay? So when I can tell he has my lapel, keep the lapel tight, then that means his elbow and knee is connected, and often this Dela Riva hook is gonna be easier when he has the lapel. If he doesn't have the lapel and he's pushing on my leg more with the hand, right? Yeah, then usually I'm more knee tight. But when he starts grabbing the lapel, like this. I still drive the knee, but pull the elbow knee tight, right? Then often this hook will come in, okay? Now, what I wanna do before I go to sit-up guard here is often I look to off-balance the guy. There's a few different ways to do this. One way, if I have this Dela Riva hook, it's similar to that double sleeve sweep we did where we turn the guy backwards this way, is I'm just gonna hold the sleeve here, I'm gonna push his hip out, and now I'm gonna turn this way and pull my arm here. See how that makes him post his hand on the floor? If you like to do the berimbolo, this is actually a really good time. You can start going for a berimbolo here. I'm not gonna go into that again, right? But go back here. But usually what I'll do is go back to the lapel. Okay. Usually what I'll do is I push the hip out, I take him this way just a little bit, and now I'm gonna let him come back up a little bit, come back up, and now I'm gonna go for the sit-up guard here. When I off-balance him, he has to post that hand, and that makes it really hard for him to, again, block me from setting up, right? Okay, so I'm here, like this, circle that way a little bit. Okay, I push the hip out, right? He's got that lapel. I get the hook in, I turn on my side. Notice, go back. As I off-balance him, I switch this left hand from the ankle to like hugging the leg, because it gets me a better angle to off-balance him. He goes here, now I come back, push the hip out, sit up quick, get the sleeve, and back to that same series. Now, another way to off-balance the guy here, scoot this way a little bit. Okay, another way to off-balance the guy here is when I push out, when I have this hook here, sometimes what I can do is I bring my knees in and I'm gonna bump him up to the right, like this, all right? So the way I do that is, especially if I'm driving with this knee and I feel a lot of knee pressure in, drive your knee in, then I can just go Dela Riva hook in, I lift with the shin and lift with the left Dela Riva hook, off balance, push the hip out, sit up and go really deep. I can grab the lapel or the sleeve and it turns into the same series as before. So I can do this with the shin past the body, or I can do it with the foot on the hip, like this, right here, like that. So now I got this hook in, you should be on the lapel. Right, so he's here like this, I could push here, and now I pull my knees in, tuck the arm, and lift up to the right, sit up, again, go way deep behind this leg, turn this way. I wanna get way deep behind this leg so that it's hard for him to fight back. It's very easy to drive up there, okay? So we'll do it again from this side. Okay, we're here like this. So again, he should be on the lapel, right? So we're here, I push the hip out a little bit, keep your elbow tight, right? So he's like this, I get this hook in, I pull the knee in and lift up to the right. Now I push the hip out, I keep this ankle, and I want to get tight here. I can get the sleeve or the lapel, and I can start playing the sit-up guard series from there. All right, so let's talk about the Dela Riva X a little bit. So here what's going to happen now, we're here, we're going to push the hip out like this. So now maybe he's got his hand on my knee like that. So what I'm going to do, we have the sit-up guard, we have the low guard, but the other option is I can lift my hip with this right foot on the hip here, and I'm going to pop up my weight onto the left shoulder. And I'm gonna shoot this left leg really deep. As soon as I go deep, I'm now gonna butterfly hook this leg and come here. Once I get this position, there's a lot of different attacks. I'm not gonna go super in depth into it, but a brief overview here. One thing I can do is just like the mermaid sweep, I'm gonna pull the sleeve across, he's gonna post that hand on the floor, I swipe it out right before he hits, and then I can come up on top. Right, so we're here, I have this, I push the hip out, right? Now, like I lift, and I turn on my left side shoulder so I can thread that leg deep. That's the key to doing this. Once I get that deep, now I'm gonna butterfly hook this leg and I come back down. From here, I turn this way, I pull across, I swipe this off right before he posts. So I'm here, right? Sometimes instead of going off the hip too, if his butt is a little bit lower, yeah, like this, I can use my shin on his thigh as well to lace deep, as long as they can get up on my left shoulder. Again, I go this way, swipe this off right before he posts, come up on top here, and I can pass. All right, guys, so let's look at another attack from Dela Riva X. And just keep in mind, I'm giving you like a quick overview of some attacks you can do from Dela Riva X. Each of these positions I'm doing, they can kind of turn into their whole own series, right? So I'm kind of focusing on the general Dela Riva, and then I'm giving you looks at different ways you can use it, and you can go as deep as you guys want into each of those series later on. So now we're gonna look at using the Dela Riva X to go to a single leg. So now we're just gonna use the same setup as before. I push the hip out, I lift up on my shoulder, go here, like this. So now, instead of taking him back this way, I'm gonna sit up here, I'm gonna go really high on the lapel. So now, I'm gonna go really high with this lapel grip. From here with this sleeve, I can start driving him forward, and now I can put my right hand on the floor, just drive forward, and start to stand up on this single leg. I can grab the leg and finish just like before. Right, so I'm here, we push the hip out, I lace, go deep, I sit up here, If I feel like it's hard to come up on the single leg here, I can just keep this leg hooked, push this in, I put my right foot on the floor, and I can drive him forward. If he falls all the way down, sometimes you just get the sweep here. Great, come up on top, right? If you take him almost all the way down and you can't quite get it, then I just stand up on the single leg. So again, we're here, push the hip out, lace here, sit up, I drive forward. If I can't quite get it, I drive all my weight behind that hamstring, stand up here, pull him in, grab the pants. I could even potentially go for the back if this is on the floor. Grab the pants, pull the leg in, put him down, and now I'm starting to work to pass here. All right, so we're here, hip out like this, lace, butterfly hook, sit up, high on the lapel, right foot on the floor, tuck this arm in between, bump him forward, come up on the single leg, and finish there.